The mind is like empty space, in which there is no confusion of good and evil. This profound reflection by Hui Neng, the sixth patriarch of Chan Buddhism, echoes through the centuries, challenging our perception of reality and inviting us on a journey of self-discovery. Imagine a world where the distinctions between enlightenment and ignorance dissolve, where supreme wisdom is not something to be achieved, but rather recognized within ourselves. This is the world that Hui Neng presents to us through his revolutionary teachings on the non-dual path. Born in 638 AD in Guangdong Province, southern China, Hui Neng emerged from humble origins to become one of the most influential figures in the history of Buddhism. His journey is a testament to the transformative power of innate wisdom, transcending the limitations of formal education and social status. What makes Hui Neng's story so fascinating is how he challenged the conventions of his time. Illiterate and of poor origin, he demonstrated an understanding of Buddhism that surpassed that of many erudite scholars. This apparent paradox leads us to question, what is true wisdom? Does it reside in books and formal studies, or is it something deeper and more universal? Hui Neng's ascension to the position of sixth patriarch of Chan at the age of 24 is marked by an episode that has become legendary in Buddhism. This story, which we will explore later, not only solidified his position in the Chan lineage, but also laid the foundations for a revolution in Buddhist thought. Hui Neng's impact extends far beyond his time and place. His teachings formed the basis of what would come to be known as Zen Buddhism in Japan, profoundly influencing the spirituality and culture of the Far East. But what makes his teachings so powerful and enduring? The answer lies at the heart of the non-dual path. Hui Neng proposed a radical view of reality, where the distinctions we normally make between good and evil, subject and object, enlightenment and ignorance, are seen as illusory. This perspective not only challenges our conventional understanding of the world, but also offers a path to liberation from suffering. Imagine for a moment what it would be like to see the world through Hui Neng's eyes. Each person you meet, each situation you face, is no longer categorized as good or bad, desirable or undesirable. Instead, everything is seen as an expression of the same fundamental reality. How would this change your life experience? Hui Neng's teachings on sudden enlightenment contrasted sharply with the gradual practices prevalent in his time. He argued that the Buddha nature, the potential for enlightenment, is present in all of us, waiting only to be recognized. This revolutionary idea democratized spirituality, suggesting that enlightenment is within reach of everyone, regardless of their background or status. The Platform Sutra, the text that preserves Hui Neng's teachings, remains one of the most influential works in Chan and Zen Buddhism. Its central message, that the true nature of the mind is pure and uncontaminated, resonates with spiritual seekers to this day. But how can we apply this wisdom in our daily lives? As we delve deeper into Hui Neng's teachings, we will encounter insights that challenge our most basic assumptions about reality and our place in it. Prepare for a journey that can transform not only your understanding of Buddhism, but also your perception of yourself and the world around you. At the heart of Hui Neng's teachings is the concept of non-duality, an idea as profound as it is challenging. But what exactly does non-duality mean, and how does it manifest in our everyday experience? Imagine standing in front of a mirror. You see your reflection, seemingly separate from you. But is there really a separation? The reflection is nothing but yourself, seen from a different perspective. Similarly, Hui Neng invites us to see all of reality as a reflection of a single fundamental consciousness. Non-duality proposes that the distinctions we normally make between self and other internal and external, sacred and profane, are ultimately illusory. It's like looking at an ocean and seeing individual waves. The waves appear separate, but they are all expressions of the same water. Hui Neng challenged the notion that enlightenment is something to be achieved through arduous practices or extensive studies. Instead, he proposed that our true nature, the Buddha nature, is already present in each of us. Enlightenment, therefore, is not an achievement, but a recognition. Consider for a moment, what if everything you seek was already within you? How would this change your approach to personal growth and spiritual seeking? The concept of original mind is central to Hui Neng's teachings. It refers to the pure and uncontaminated nature of the mind, which is identical to the Buddha nature. This original mind is not something to be created or cultivated, but rather recognized and realized. Hui Neng compared the original mind to a mirror. Just as a mirror reflects everything before it without judgment or attachment, our true nature observes and experiences without clinging or rejecting. Thoughts, emotions, and sensations come and go, but the consciousness that witnesses them remains unchanged. The practice of non-practice is another intriguing concept in Hui Neng's teachings. He argued that true spiritual practice does not consist of specific techniques or rituals, but in a direct understanding of the nature of the mind. It's an invitation to abandon the search and simply be. This doesn't mean we should abandon all activity or responsibility. On the contrary, Hui Neng emphasized the importance of integrating spiritual understanding into everyday life. Enlightenment is not a state separate from ordinary reality, but a different way of perceiving and interacting with the world around us. Hui Neng's non-dual path challenges us to transcend the mental categories we normally use to understand the world. Good and bad, right and wrong, success and failure. All these distinctions are seen as mental constructs that obscure our true nature. But how can we live in a world that seems inherently dual? Hui Neng did not suggest that we ignore conventional distinctions, but that we see them as useful tools rather than absolute truths. It's like using a map. The map is useful for navigation, but it is not the actual territory. Non-duality has profound implications for our understanding of suffering and happiness. If there is no true separation between self and other, between the desirable and the undesirable, then suffering arises from our insistence on seeing things dualistically. Happiness, on the other hand, comes from recognizing the fundamental unity of all existence. Imagine living without the constant weight of judgment and comparison, without the need to prove yourself or achieve some ideal state. This is the freedom that the non-dual path promises. Hui Neng's teachings on non-duality are not mere philosophical abstractions. They offer a practical path to personal transformation and liberation from suffering. By recognizing our true nature, we can live with more spontaneity, compassion, and wisdom. As we continue our exploration of Hui Neng's teachings, we will see how these concepts manifest in concrete situations and how we can apply them in our own lives. Prepare to challenge your most fundamental assumptions about reality and discover a new way of being in the world. One of the most revolutionary aspects of Hui Neng's teachings is his emphasis on sudden enlightenment. This idea profoundly challenged the established Buddhist practices of his time and continues to intrigue practitioners and scholars to this day. But what exactly did Hui Neng mean by sudden enlightenment, and how does it relate to our quest for personal growth and spiritual realization? Imagine a dark room that you're trying to illuminate by lighting candles one by one. This is the gradual path to enlightenment, where you accumulate knowledge and merit over time. Now imagine flipping a switch and instantly flooding the entire room with light. This is Hui Neng's sudden enlightenment. The central idea here is that enlightenment is not something we need to build or achieve, but rather something that's already present in us, waiting to be recognized. It's as if we were looking for our glasses while wearing them. The search itself prevents us from seeing what's already there. Hui Neng argued that all beings possess the Buddha nature, which is the innate capacity to achieve enlightenment. This is not a quality we need to develop, but rather our true nature that is temporarily obscured by our erroneous ideas and attachments. Consider for a moment, what if you were already complete, perfect, and enlightened? How would this change the way you live your life and interact with others? Hui Neng's emphasis on sudden enlightenment doesn't mean he completely discarded practice. Instead, he redefined what it means to practice. For Hui Neng, true practice is not about accumulating knowledge or spiritual experiences, but about removing the obstacles that prevent us from recognizing our true nature. This approach has profound implications for our understanding of personal growth and spiritual transformation. Instead of striving to become something we're not, we're invited to recognize and manifest what we already are in our essence. The Buddha nature, in Hui Neng's view, is not a mystical or supernatural quality, but rather our innate capacity for clarity, compassion, and wisdom. It's our natural tendency to awaken to the true nature of reality when the clouds of ignorance and attachment dissipate. Imagine a clear blue sky. Clouds may temporarily obscure the sky, but they don't alter its fundamental nature. Similarly, our thoughts, emotions, and conditioning may obscure our Buddha nature, but they cannot destroy or alter it. Practice, in this context, becomes a process of unlearning rather than learning. It's about letting go of the false ideas we have about ourselves and the world, allowing our true nature to shine naturally. Hui Neng frequently used the metaphor of a mirror to illustrate this point. Our mind, in its essential nature, is like a perfectly clear mirror, reflecting everything without distortion or judgment. Spiritual practice is not about polishing the mirror, which is already perfectly clear, but about recognizing its clear nature and allowing it to function naturally. This perspective has the potential to radically transform our approach to personal growth and spiritual seeking. Instead of seeing ourselves as imperfect, constantly seeking to improve or become something different, we're invited to recognize and manifest the perfection that's already present in us. But how can we apply this understanding in our daily lives? Hui Neng emphasized the importance of integrating spiritual wisdom into daily life. Enlightenment is not a state separate from ordinary reality, but a different way of perceiving and interacting with the world around us. In practice, this might mean cultivating an attitude of acceptance and non-judgment towards our experiences, observing our thoughts and emotions without fully identifying with them, recognizing that our true nature transcends our momentary experiences of pleasure and pain, success and failure. As we explore Hui Neng's teachings more deeply, we'll see how this understanding of sudden enlightenment and Buddha nature can transform our life experience, offering a new perspective on the challenges we face and the potential we carry within us. The Platform Sutra is considered one of the most important texts in Chan and Zen Buddhism, preserving the essential teachings of Hui Neng. This text is not just a historical record, but a living source of wisdom that continues to inspire and transform lives to this day. Let's dive into the main teachings of this seminal text and explore how they can be applied in our quest for personal growth and spiritual realization. One of the central teachings of the Platform Sutra is the idea that the Buddha nature is inherent in all beings. Hui Neng uses the metaphor of a lamp to illustrate this point. Just as a lamp has the potential to illuminate a room that has been dark for 1,000 years in an instant, our Buddha nature has the potential to dispel the darkness of ignorance in a moment of true recognition. Imagine for a moment that you carry within you an infinite source of wisdom and compassion. How would this change the way you see yourself and how you interact with the world around you? The Platform Sutra also emphasizes that enlightenment can be achieved instantaneously. This idea challenges the common notion that spiritual growth is necessarily a long and gradual process. Hui Neng argues that once we recognize our true nature, enlightenment is as immediate as opening our eyes and seeing what's in front of us. However, it's important to note that Hui Neng wasn't suggesting there's no need for practice. Instead, he redefined what it means to practice. For Hui Neng, true practice is not about accumulating knowledge or spiritual experiences, but about removing the obstacles that prevent us from recognizing our true nature. The Platform Sutra also offers a unique perspective on meditation. Hui Neng teaches that true meditation is not about achieving a special state or transcendental experience, but about recognizing the fundamental nature of the mind in all moments and activities. Consider what it would be like to live in a state of constant meditation, not as a separate practice, but as a way of being in the world. How would this transform your experience of daily life? One of the most revolutionary aspects of Hui Neng's teachings is the emphasis on integrating spiritual practice into everyday life. The Platform Sutra reminds us that enlightenment is not something separate from our ordinary experience, but a different way of perceiving and interacting with the world around us. Hui Neng uses the metaphor of a mirror to illustrate this point. Just as a mirror reflects everything before it without judgment or attachment, our mind, in its essential nature, observes and experiences without clinging or rejecting. Spiritual practice, therefore, is not about creating a special state, but about recognizing and manifesting this natural clarity in all our activities. The Platform Sutra also emphasizes the importance of wisdom over mere intellectual knowledge. Hui Neng argues that true understanding doesn't come from accumulating information, but from a direct and experiential understanding of reality. Imagine the difference between reading about the taste of a fruit and actually experiencing it. Similarly, Hui Neng invites us to go beyond conceptual knowledge and directly experience the nature of reality. One of the most profound teachings in the Platform Sutra is the concept of no thought. This doesn't mean the cessation of all thoughts, but rather a state of consciousness that doesn't cling to or reject thoughts as they arise and pass. Hui Neng compares the mind to a clear sky. Thoughts are like clouds passing through the sky. The sky is not affected by the clouds, nor does it try to grasp them or push them away. Similarly, our true nature remains unchanged by the thoughts and emotions that arise in our consciousness. The Platform Sutra also addresses the concept of non-duality in a unique and powerful way. Hui Neng teaches that the distinctions we normally make between self and other, internal and external, sacred and profane, are ultimately illusory. Consider what it would be like to live without these rigid distinctions. How would this change your experience of yourself and the world around you? As we explore the teachings of the Platform Sutra, we see that they offer not just a profound philosophy, but a practical path to personal transformation and liberation from suffering. These teachings invite us to question our most basic assumptions about reality and discover a freer and more spontaneous way of being in the world. Hui Neng's teachings, although profound and sometimes abstract, have powerful practical applications in our daily lives. Let's explore how we can incorporate these ideas into our quest for personal growth and well-being. One of Hui Neng's fundamental principles is the idea that our true nature, the Buddha nature, is already present within us. In practice, this means we can approach our personal growth not as a journey to become something we're not, but as a process of discovering and manifesting what we already are in our essence. Imagine waking up every morning with the awareness that you are already complete and perfect in your essential nature. How would this change your approach to the challenges and opportunities you face? A practical application of this principle is to cultivate an attitude of self-acceptance. Instead of constantly judging ourselves or striving to be different, we can practice compassionate acceptance of who we are in this moment. This doesn't mean we don't strive to grow and improve, but that we do so from a place of acceptance and self-love, rather than self-criticism and judgment. Hui Neng's concept of non-duality can be applied in our interactions with others and with the world around us. In practice, this might mean cultivating an attitude of non-judgment and openness to different perspectives and experiences. Consider what it would be like to approach a conflict or disagreement with the awareness that you and the other person are, on a fundamental level, not separate. How would this change your approach to conflict resolution and relationship building? Hui Neng's emphasis on sudden enlightenment reminds us that transformation can happen in an instant. In practice, this can encourage us to be open to moments of insight and clarity that may arise unexpectedly in our daily lives. One way to cultivate this openness is through the practice of mindfulness. We can train our mind to be present and aware in each moment, recognizing that each instant carries the potential for profound awakening. Hui Neng's teaching on the practice of non-practice can be applied in our approach to meditation and other spiritual practices. Instead of viewing these practices as something we do to achieve a special state, we can approach them as an opportunity to recognize and rest in our fundamental nature. In meditation, for example, instead of trying to control or manipulate our experience, we can simply observe what arises in our consciousness without judgment or attachment. This attitude of openness and acceptance can then extend to all aspects of our life. Hui Neng's emphasis on wisdom over mere intellectual knowledge reminds us of the importance of direct experience. In practice, this might mean balancing our study and learning with application and experimentation in our daily life. Consider how you can apply the concepts you learn in your own experience. How can you transform knowledge into lived wisdom? Hui Neng's concept of no thought can be applied as a practice of detachment from our thoughts and emotions. This doesn't mean suppressing or denying our thoughts and feelings, but rather observing them with an attitude of non-attachment. In practice, we can train our mind to observe our thoughts and emotions as if they were clouds passing through the sky of our consciousness. We can notice when we're identifying with or attaching to certain thoughts or emotions and gently remind ourselves to return to a stance of non-attached observation. The integration of spiritual practice into everyday life, emphasized by Hui Neng, invites us to see each moment and each activity as an opportunity for awakening and growth. In practice, this might mean bringing an attitude of presence and awareness to all our activities, from the most mundane to the most significant. Imagine living each moment, whether washing dishes, working on an important project, or conversing with a friend, with full presence and awareness. How would this transform your life experience? As we apply these teachings in our daily life, we may begin to experience a greater sense of freedom, clarity, and inner peace. We remember that the path to enlightenment is not a journey to a distant destination, but an awakening to what's already present here and now. Hui Neng's impact on the evolution of Chan Buddhism and subsequently Japanese Zen is inestimable. His teachings not only revolutionized Buddhist practice in his time, but continue to resonate deeply with spiritual seekers and mindfulness practitioners around the world today. Let's explore Hui Neng's enduring legacy and its surprising relevance to our modern life. Hui Neng's concept of sudden enlightenment finds echoes in contemporary approaches to personal transformation and spiritual growth. In a world where we often feel stuck in patterns of thought and behavior, the idea that change can occur in an instant of recognition offers a powerful and liberating perspective. Consider how this idea aligns with modern psychology's insights into the nature of behavior change and aha moments. How can we cultivate an openness to these moments of sudden clarity in our daily lives? Hui Neng's emphasis on the Buddha nature, inherent in all beings, resonates strongly with humanistic and person-centered approaches in modern psychology and coaching. The idea that we all have an innate potential for wisdom and compassion provides a powerful foundation for self-development and healing work. Imagine what an approach to mental health and emotional well-being, based on the idea that our essential nature is complete and perfect, only temporarily obscured by conditioned thought and behavior patterns, might look like. Hui Neng's teaching on non-duality has profound implications for our understanding of interpersonal relationships and global conflicts. In an increasingly polarized world, the perspective that the distinctions we make between us and them are ultimately illusory offers a path to empathy, understanding, and reconciliation. How might we approach issues of social justice, conflict resolution, and environmental sustainability from a non-dual perspective? What new solutions might emerge if we saw all beings and the planet as fundamentally interconnected? The integration of spiritual practice into everyday life, emphasized by Hui Neng, finds expression in modern approaches to mindfulness and present-moment awareness. The idea that each moment is an opportunity for awakening and growth aligns perfectly with mindfulness practices that are gaining popularity in corporate, educational, and healthcare settings. Consider how the practice of being fully present in each moment, whether in a work meeting, a conversation with a loved one, or simply walking in nature, can transform our life experience and our effectiveness in the world. Hui Neng's concept of no-thought offers a valuable perspective in an age of information overload and constant distraction. The practice of observing our thoughts without fully identifying with them can be a powerful tool for managing stress, increasing mental clarity, and cultivating emotional resilience. What would it be like to apply this practice of no-thought when navigating social media, consuming news, or dealing with stressful situations at work or home? Hui Neng's emphasis on experiential wisdom over intellectual knowledge is particularly relevant in our age of abundant information. In a world where knowledge is literally at our fingertips, the challenge is not so much acquiring information, but transforming it into lived and applied wisdom. Hui Neng's teachings remind us of the importance of integrating what we learn into our direct experience. Imagine how it would be to approach education and professional development not just as the acquisition of knowledge, but as a process of personal transformation and discovery of innate wisdom. How might this change our approach to lifelong learning? Hui Neng's non-hierarchical approach to spirituality, exemplified by his own rise from an illiterate layman to a respected patriarch, offers an inspiring model for the democratization of knowledge and wisdom in our digital age. His story reminds us that true wisdom is not the privilege of an educated elite, but is available to all who are willing to look deeply into their own nature. How can we apply this perspective to create more inclusive and equitable educational systems and social structures? How can we recognize and value forms of knowledge and wisdom that go beyond traditional academic credentials? Hui Neng's teaching on the practice of non-practice offers a valuable perspective in a culture obsessed with productivity and self-optimization. It invites us to consider that true growth and fulfillment may come not from constant striving to improve ourselves, but from a relaxation into our fundamental nature. Consider what it would be like to approach your personal and professional goals not from a sense of inadequacy or need for improvement, but from a recognition of your innate completeness and potential. How would this change your relationship with success and failure? Hui Neng's emphasis on the non-dual nature of reality has profound implications for our understanding of science and consciousness. His teachings about the nature of mind and reality find intriguing parallels in some interpretations of quantum physics and scientific explorations of consciousness. How can we integrate the insights of contemplative wisdom with the insights of modern science to develop a more holistic understanding of reality and our place in it? Hui Neng's legacy invites us to a form of spirituality that is both deeply transformative and perfectly integrated into everyday life. In an age when many seek a sense of meaning and purpose amidst the demands of modern life, his teachings offer a path to discovering the depth and richness of ordinary experience. Imagine living with the constant awareness that each moment, no matter how mundane, is an expression of your Buddha nature. How would this transform your experience of work, relationships, and leisure? As we delve deeper into Hui Neng's teachings, we discover that they are not just historical relics, but living tools for personal and collective transformation. His vision of a direct, non-dual spirituality integrated into everyday life offers a powerful antidote to many of the challenges we face as individuals and as a society. Hui Neng's invitation to recognize our fundamental nature of clarity, compassion, and wisdom is as relevant today as it was over 1,000 years ago. In a world marked by division, uncertainty, and rapid change, his teachings offer us a path to inner peace, authentic connection, and compassionate action. As we conclude our exploration of Hui Neng's teachings and his non-dual path, we are invited to consider: how can we incorporate this wisdom into our daily lives? How can we live in a way that honors our true nature and contributes to the well-being of all beings? The journey that Hui Neng invites us to embark upon is not a quest for something external or distant, but an awakening to what is already present here and now. It is an invitation to live with open eyes and an open heart, recognizing the depth and beauty inherent in each moment of our existence. May we carry Hui Neng's wisdom with us, allowing it to illuminate our path and inspire our actions. May we live with the awareness of our fundamental nature of clarity and compassion, contributing to a more harmonious and awakened world. Hui Neng's teachings remind us that true transformation doesn't come from accumulating more knowledge or experiences, but from recognizing what is already present. His approach invites us to a form of spirituality that is both profound and practical, transcendent and fully immersed in everyday life. In a world that often pushes us to constantly seek more success, more wealth, more experiences, Hui Neng's teachings offer a powerful counterpoint. They remind us that true wealth, true fulfillment, is already within us, waiting to be recognized and lived. Imagine what it would be like to live each day with the awareness that you are already complete, that your essential nature is perfect and enlightened. How would this change the way you approach challenges, relationships, and opportunities in your life? The practice of non-duality, central to Hui Neng's teachings, offers a transformative perspective on the conflicts and divisions we see in the world. If we can recognize that on a fundamental level, there is no real separation between ourselves and others, between ourselves and the world, how might this change our approach to issues of social justice, environmental sustainability, and global peace? Hui Neng's concept of sudden enlightenment reminds us that profound transformation can happen in an instant. This doesn't mean there's no need for practice or effort. but rather that we are always just one moment of recognition away from our true nature. This perspective can bring a sense of hope and possibility, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. As we integrate Hui Neng's teachings into our daily life, we may begin to see each moment, each interaction, as an opportunity for awakening and growth. Spiritual practice is no longer something we do at special times or on retreats, but becomes the very texture of our everyday life. May we carry Hui Neng's wisdom with us as we leave here today. May we recognize our Buddha nature in each moment, live with compassion and clarity, and contribute to a more awakened and harmonious world. The journey is not to a distant destination, but an awakening to what is already here, now, in this perfect moment.